Okay, class, so today we're going to discuss the scientific method and how to formulate a hypothesis. So, to start off, who can tell me the difference between a hypothesis and a theory? Okay, so maybe you guys have seen on TV or in movies where oftentimes detectives will say things like, I have a theory that, but actually that's a hypothesis. So in science, a theory is an established model that attempts to explain the world around us, like the theory of gravity or the theory of evolution. So it's not actually a possibility, it's essentially fact. Whereas a hypothesis is a potential explanation of a phenomenon, of something that we observe or something that we see. So let's take an example. Pretend you have a flashlight that doesn't work. So you know that the batteries in the flashlight power the bulb, which emits light. So who can give a hypothesis? So
The batteries are dead.
Exactly. So that is a valid reason that could explain why the flashlight isn't working. So our first hypothesis here is the flashlight is not working because the batteries are dead. So how can we test this hypothesis?
You could take out the batteries and put in new ones.
Exactly. So let's say that we change the batteries and the flashlight works. This lets us know that the batteries being dead is most likely the reason why the flashlight didn't work. But what if the flashlight still doesn't work after we change the batteries? Let's take a step back and try to think of an alternative hypothesis, another reason why the flashlight wasn't working. Can you guys think of one? Dylan.
The bulb is out.
Exactly. So there's another possible explanation. So here our second hypothesis is that the flashlight is not working because the bulb is burnt out. Okay, so with these two hypotheses and experiments, we can determine why the flashlight isn't working and how we can fix it. But let's say that our flashlight isn't working and we haven't tried any experiments yet. Why don't we just change the bulb and change the batteries at the same time? Because that will save time and we know that it will definitely fix the flashlight. So why wouldn't a scientist do that?
Well, it would be wasteful because you don't know that both need to be changed.
Exactly, yeah. Because let's pretend that the batteries are dead, but the bulb still works. So if we change both of them, we would be wasting a perfectly good bulb. So when performing this kind of experiment, it's important that you only change one thing at a time, like the bulb or the batteries. You're changing one variable at a time. Because you want to make sure that your experiment is precise as possible, so that you can figure out which part of the flashlight is. Make an observation. So what was our observation here, our first observation? Dylan?
The flashlight wasn't working.
Great, yeah. So we propose a hypothesis that attempts to explain this observation. And it's important to remember that when you make a hypothesis, you have to be able to experimentally test it, and it has to be possible that you can prove it false. So every hypothesis is accompanied by a prediction. Here, our hypothesis is that the flashlight doesn't work because the batteries are dead, so therefore our prediction is that changing the batteries will make the flashlight work. Then we test our hypothesis with an experiment from which we can make additional observations. And so when scientists are trying to understand something, they'll observe, hypothesize, predict, and perform experiments over and over again. So this is what's called the scientific method. If a set of hypotheses agrees with a series of observations, these hypotheses can be assembled. Now let's go over the cheer to remember the scientific method that we guys all learned. Alright? So everyone say it back with me. Here we go. The scientific method goes like this. You make an observation and a hypothesis. Experiment to test the prediction. Observe and repeat until you're done. With enough results that agree, we can make a new theory that explains the world around us, like evolution or gravity. One more time. The scientific method goes like this. You make an observation and hypothesis. Experiment to test the prediction. Observe and repeat until you're done. With enough results that agree, we can make a new theory that explains the world around us, like evolution or gravity. Good work, class.